Okay. Sorry, I'm just getting set up on Facebook. I always do YouTube first because it often fails. It just doesn't always go live when it says it's going to. So I like to get that going first. Sorry, something just came up here. Okay, hi YouTube. Sorry, I'm just waiting for a message here. Something just came up on my Facebook Live, so just have to check with someone. Anyway, while we're waiting here, I'd love to know where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada, and it's a gorgeous sunny day. It was supposed to rain today, and it didn't. And it's extremely unusual for it not to rain in Vancouver when it says even there's a slight chance. We live in a rainforest here, so it is very rainy. Okay. Okay. All righty. So I'm on Facebook and I'm on Perry, New York. Actually, I looked up something yesterday. I can't remember what state it was in, but there's a city in the United States called Surprise. That's the name of the city. I looked it up. Someone said they were from Surprise, wherever it was. Imagine living in a city called Surprise. Isn't that that'd be fun? Where are you from? Surprise. I think that's great. I'm sure they haven't heard that before. Okay. So I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up. And also, where are you from? What part of the world? I'm in Vancouver, Canada. There's two Vancouvers. One is in Washington State in the United States and America, and I'm up in Canada, Vancouver. I think we're the more, the one that when you say you're from Vancouver, most people think Vancouver, Canada. I don't know why, because Vancouver and Washington State, it's quite big, actually. Okay. So I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up. Where are you from? Okay. Vancouver Island. Hi, Alexa. I don't get over there very often, maybe once every 20 years. I was there literally. I've probably been there 3 times in my life, and I'm 63. So last time I went there, I went to see a concert over there because my daughter was underage, and this band that we love from Australia, they were playing in a church in Victoria, so we went over there to see it. Okay, Australia. Hello, Australia. That's where my kids were born and raised. South Carolina, Nova Scotia. I had someone on here yesterday. They were from Surprise. There was a city called Surprise, and I looked it up. It's in somewhere. I can't remember which state it was in though. But yeah, isn't that fun? Another Australia, White Lake, Michigan, Indiana. Okay, well, let's get going. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board. Hi, Ohio. My free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, and you can look into coaching. I have another boot camp course coming up next week. It's on toddlers. So I'm very excited about it. We've been working on it for a while, and it's going to be launched next week. So keep your eye out for that. Okay. I love watching you. I'm from Vancouver, Washington. Oh, hi. I was just talking about that. Vancouver, wait, I lost it. It flipped because sugar. I lost it. Okay. Have you ever seen the show Super Nanny with Joe Frost? The only time, probably about, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, I was asked to do a show about, and they said it's like the Super Nanny, but it's like with teenagers. So I did look it up then. I never look at what anyone else is teaching with parenting because I'm just self-taught, right? Why would I look at what anyone else is doing? So, but that's the only time I ever looked at it. And I decided then that it wouldn't be for me. What I actually said to them is, and it was a big nationwide show. And I said, I need creative control because there's no way I'm going to humiliate and embarrass a teenager. Because who knows what they can do to themselves if they get humiliated on national TV. So yeah, they kicked me to the curb. And the show never turned up. Anyone with any credentials or any, sort of No one would do a show on teenagers like that. There's no way you would do that. So anyway, but yeah, they kicked me to the curb pretty quick. Fine by me. Emerald Isle, North Carolina. Emerald Isle, that's pretty. Okay, so yeah, and don't ever ask me to critique what other people are teaching because I never look it up. I'm self-taught. I only teach what I know, and I'm self-taught. Kids taught me this. So yeah, I would never critique other people. I do critique certain things, but I don't know who's teaching them, so I'm not critiquing any person. I would see that as tacky. Okay, so Germany, but live but live in Charlotte, North Carolina. Oh, I see. Okay, you're from Germany. Surprise, Arizona. Oh, Arizona, I think. Yeah, I looked it up yesterday after the live to see, is that really a place? It is, Surprise. It's called Surprise. What a neat place to live. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. I just mentioned I actually have a toddler course coming up next week. Been working on it for quite some time. It's got like about 50 sections, and it's going to be huge. They're short sections, but I'm addressing, we sent out a questionnaire, I think it was yesterday or the day before on, it's down now, it was on Instagram. And it was just, what would you want to be in a course if it was a toddler course? Hundreds of suggestions. So so we use that to help finish building the course. So it's coming out next week. Keep an eye out for that. Okay. Asheville, North Carolina. Love using your techniques with my littlies. Excellent. Excellent. My littles. So is that littles or littlies? Okay. One thing I just want to discuss right now, just quickly, is that I know I'm just reacting to your questions about discipline, but that really is not what I'm all about. I'm all about connecting with kids, having fun with them. Fun is their love language, by the way. It's not words, it's actions and play and fun and humor and all that. They want to have fun. When you connect with your kids through fun, you're more of a leader. They're going to listen to you more. They want to please you because they like you because you're fun. Doesn't mean you want them walking all over you, though. It's different. Okay. Do you ever work with young autistic children? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't work with kids anymore, but a lot of my clients have autistic children. I only deal with that. That's more in the specialty department. And that is only in coaching. So I don't give just general advice here about special needs. What do you think about giving into a tantrum during time constraints? For example, the morning rush, 3 and 4-year-old. I would just pick them up and put them in the car and get going. The only time I ever give into a tantrum is if you're not meeting their needs, like if they're sick or tired or hungry or something's really wrong with them. Then you want to meet their needs first, right? But assuming you've met their needs, then I never give into a tantrum, except I did one today. Oh, this was really unusual. I can't go into great detail about it because it was a one with clients. But if you're watching, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the only exception is if you're on a plane. There's no way I would put a plane full of people through a tantrum. I would give that kid, that toddler, whatever they want. On an airplane. They understand once you get off that plane, it's back to normal. Okay. They understand it's only when they're on a plane that happens. I always say they don't really understand exceptions, but they will. They'll figure it out. But no, that only happens on a plane that I get whatever I want. So I remember I used to travel with our little kids because we lived in Australia. My family was in Canada, and that's a long 24-hour haul for little kids. So I had a bag full of goodies, and whatever they wanted, they got it. So that's the only time. It's just consideration for the rest of the plane. I mean, they could very well kick you out midair if your kid had a tantrum. I wouldn't even blame them. It would be brutal listening to that. So, and then I had one, it was a very unusual situation with a family this morning that I was coaching. And I said, in that situation, yes, I would give in to tantrums. But it was a real exception. And yeah, real cute young couple. Okay. How can I have fun when I stay home with them 24/7? You're not fun 24/7. You're not there juggling and doing magic tricks all the time. But yeah, you have fun moments. You say, okay, let's run around the house and play hide and seek. Do that for 15 minutes, put a timer on, then stop it. They're more likely to go off and leave you alone for a while if you do fill up their fun cup with you for a while. So you got to find moments of having fun with them, but you decide when that is. You be the leader of that. Okay. Don't let them tell you, oh, now, all the time. Say, I will later. Okay. So you make sure that you're in charge of that. Sort of like a teacher in a classroom. A lot of stuff doesn't cross over, but some stuff you can learn from schools and the way they run. One of them is that the teacher, the adult, is in charge of what's happening when. But when you are playing, they're in charge of the play. Let kids be in charge of the play. You play in their world, in their level, whatever they want to do. Okay. Another thing that crosses over really well between classrooms and home is activities. Like I would never have all their toys out at any given time. I finish up, let's say we're playing Play-Doh. We pack that all up, put it away, then they can do something different. So I didn't have everything out all at once. I taught my kids how to focus because I didn't allow them to have all their toys all over the whole house all the time. They were good at focusing because there wasn't too much overstimulation and confusion because there's too much stuff around. Classrooms do the same thing. We're going to be doing this, pack it up, and then we'll move on to the next thing. So you be in charge of when you're going to have fun and play with your kids. Don't let them, but when you're playing, let them be in charge of that. Okay, I have the best fun playing with my 2-year-old granddaughters. Love the connection we have. Yeah, that's great. I've got a granddaughter right now. She's 6 months old. My son throws her around like a sack of potatoes. You should see him. He's flipping her around. She's loving it. And I'm like, ah! I never say anything, but I do intake breath a lot. They think that's funny. But anyway, yeah, she's loving it. My God, he was such a rose petal. You couldn't have done anything like that with him. His daughter, she's just being flipped around. She'll be on the roller coasters. She'll be one of those. Yeah, she's loving it. Okay. Been using your rules board and seems to really set a standard. That's right. Need more ideas for consequences, though. That's up to you. The consequence can just be do a chore within 15 minutes of being asked to do so. If not, you take away something. You start with a positive action. You're going to have to come up with something that works in your household. Don't get caught up in what the consequence is. It's more about being consistent with it. So the consequence is not the focus. It's just following through with it is the focus, okay? Everyone thinks there's this magic consequence that's going to teach the kids. No, it's your consistency that teaches the kids. Your follow through, your consistency. Mean what you say what you mean. Yeah, I get asked that a lot, but I just won't do it. I won't do a list of consequences because that's up to you and your household. They can just pick up toys. They can pick 10 toys in 10 minutes. I go into it a bit more in the course, but yeah, on that behavior board, it's just have them do a good deed. It doesn't have to be anything they absolutely hate. Just have them brush your hair. Have them give you a makeover. Have them give you a back rub. It can be something like that. Just do something nice for you. Okay, I have a 4-year-old who doesn't go to sleep and he must go to sleep at some point. Refuses to sleep in his own room. Check out my Bedtime Battles course. That's one of my mini courses. It's in the link above. That course is also gone over within the boot camp course for 3 to 12 years olds if you're interested. So it's in 2 parts, how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. That's the hard part. Getting them in bed is usually easy. It's keeping them there that's hard. I've got the opposite with a client right now. They said once her head hits the pillow, she's out like a light all night, but getting her to bed is hell. It's usually the other way around. It's usually keeping them in bed that's hard. And I do have next week, it's going to be launched. My daughter and I, now that she's working with me full time, we've got more time to do stuff together. And so we're just finishing up the toddler course. It's a big boot camp course for toddlers. Very excited about that. So look out for that next week. It's coming. It was funny. My daughter and I had our first official board meeting yesterday. We almost dissolved the company. I mean, it's just one little thing goes wrong. We're like, but I did do that. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. It's like, that's it. We're going to dissolve the whole company. It was funny. We were just cracking up. Bratbusters ends, mother-daughter. Can't get along. Actually, we're very lucky. We are best friends. We work really well together, but it's all so new this full time, you know. It's a lot. Okay. I got your potty training course, but do not put underwear right on the first day, or do you let them run around naked? I would put 2 pairs of underpants on them. Yeah, I would do that. You want them to feel it running down their leg, but you don't want it spraying everywhere. So yeah, it's messy. It's a party, but really just for them, it's a mess for you. It's a very messy party. But I trained my son in 1 day and my daughter in 2 days, and this is no night diapers, no pull-ups, nothing. But I'll tell you something funny. I trained my son on a Saturday. He was completely trained. And then we were grocery shopping during the week, I don't know, Monday, Tuesday, whatever. And I'm in the checkout, and he's 2.5 years old. And I'm in the checkout. He's sitting up in that little shopping cart seat. And he says, we're in the checkout. I'm going through the checkout. And he says, I have to go poo. Now, every mother knows that, you know what I'm thinking, because he's got no diaper on, no pull-up, nothing. and he's just been trained. And I said, okay, well, we'll just finish this and then we'll go. And the checkout lady, we both locked eyes like this. She obviously was a mom. And so he says, I have to go poo. They never just say, and I have to go now. They always start all over again. I have to go poo. So I said, okay, just wait a minute. And he goes, I have to go poo now. Now, when a 2.5-year-old says they have to go poo now, it's probably crowning. So anyway, I just looked at the checkout lady again and she said, just go. Now, this is in Australia and the supermarkets there, it was in a supermarket, are not freestanding like they are here in North America. They are inside a mall. So you have to go in the mall to get into a supermarket, which means the bathroom was at the other end of this mall that we were in. And it was quite a run to the mall, to the bathroom. So anyway, she said, just go. And so I picked him up. I held his bum, trying to hold it in, hopefully. I was squeezing his cheeks. So I'm running through the mall, squeezing my 2.5-year-old's butt cheeks. And then I got him in the bathroom, pulled down his pants, and I literally held him over the toilet because public toilets. So I held him over and he went. I just caught it. Anyway, I went back and I was so relieved. I got back and another mom had gone and helped me out, helped the checkout lady. They packed up all my groceries and everything. So it was all ready to go. But anyway, so we made it. But yeah, that was a panic attack. Parenting, right? It can be really messy. Yeah, when a 2.5-year-old says I have to go poo now, it's now. Okay, ways to get toddler to sleep through the night. I just mentioned that. I have a bedtime battles course. It's a whole course, 2 to 8-year-olds. The only thing is they have to be able to get out of bed. They can't be in a cot. They have to be able to get out. So it's in 2 parts, how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. It's one of my mini courses. It's up in the link above. So you might want to check that out. It's a whole system. The hard part is keeping them in bed, not getting them there, usually. Okay, I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers because it might help you with, it's just general advice. Toddlers are kind of crazy. They don't make a lot of sense, and parents are always trying to make sense out of them. Big mistake. Okay, this is my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler, you do so in their world. You don't go to the nail salon with them. You go to the park and roll down the hill. They just start to look at you differently. They just do. Number 4 is it's similar. When you want to discipline a toddler, you do so in their world. They're not about words. They're about actions. All these mini therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and big emotions, it's absolute garbage. That was invented to make the mom feel good about herself. It has nothing to do with the toddler. They need consistent corrective actions because they learn through repetition, repetition, repetition. Number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got 1 marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. They're cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years. In the first year, you were a potato laying on a mattress. They're just forming. That's the biggest, I would say, the biggest challenge when I'm coaching parents with toddlers, if they don't have experience with older kids or with having lived through it. So with toddlers is they expect too much. They'll say, I told him it hurts, mommy, when he hits me. And he did it again. I'm like, yeah, what's your point? He's a toddler. They don't get that. They just don't get it right away. It takes repetition, but it's all about actions. You saying that hurts me, they don't really care. They'll look like they do because they're parroting you. They're doing sort of what you're doing. You know, that hurts. Yes, that hurts. They're thinking, I can't wait to hit you again. You know, they're not there yet. Okay. Okay, my 15-year-old daughter has been caught on the phone in class at school. We've taken her phone away from her until we can see improvement in her grades and overall. Okay, so you've gone too hard. You know, okay. My gut reaction to that is, okay, we've had it. We're going to take your phone till you get good grades. You clean your room, you buff up, you do all this. It's like you waited too long and then you go in too hard. Is that potentially what's happened? You might want to hire me for that. I don't have a course on teenagers, and teenagers is all about coaching. And I do have a wait list for that. But if you're interested, the reason is I have to assess where you are, what kind of parent you are. When did her behavior start sort of going a little bit off the rails and she started rebelling or wasn't doing very well in school? So I have to do a lot of assessing, and we don't correct her behavior. We deal with your connection with her initially. Then we start to work on the other stuff. You've got to strengthen your leadership skills, your connection with her, your bond with her to get respect before you can even start addressing what you want to address. Parents of teenagers do this all the time. That's it. I can't take it anymore. I'm taking your phone. You're grounded. There's no screens. They just wait too long and then they go too hard. So you got to sort of ease into stuff. But anyway, if you're interested in my help, if you want my one-on-one help, check out coaching. It's in the link above. Okay. I need the age there. Olivia on, Okay, Olivia, I need the age. How do you correct bad behavior, blah, blah, blah. That I need the age. And yeah, I need the age. Okay. Okay. Oh, she's 2.5. Yeah. Olivia on YouTube is asking, how do you correct bad behavior that only happens at school? I said, what's the age? She's only 2.5. You have to deal with them right in the moment with consistent corrective actions, not words. When they're 3 and over, they come home, you found out they did something bad at school, like biting, then you can have a consequence. But you can't do that with a 2.5-year-old. It needs to be right in the moment. There's really not much you can do. Usually the daycare or whatever, they usually have to take care of that. They can report to you, but there's nothing you can do if you're not there with a 2.5-year-old, or there's not much you can do. You can try, but if she's only doing it at school, she never does it at home. The reason why she doesn't do it at home is probably because you're not trying to grab her toys off her, right? She doesn't have to share at home. Is that right? It's usually when they have to share and other kids are grabbing stuff off them that they start acting out. And you're probably not doing that, right? So I've got a siren going by right now. I live downtown. Just waiting. Okay, my 2-year-old is constantly headbutting and smacking his head, and I'm always late. Too late to him by the time. Okay, he banged it. Okay, so what you do, if you've got a continual headbanger, just get one of those foam helmets. You can go online and look for it. Lots of my clients have got it. And as soon as, put it on, as soon as they bang their head, then they're going to be protected. But if they don't bang their head all the time and you see they're having a bad afternoon, you have to stay around them. And as soon as they go to headbutt, I would put it on them fast. You want them to connect the dots, that they've got that on because they're headbanging. See what I mean? Usually they learn pretty quick. They don't like that helmet. So yeah, lots of my clients have got that. Yeah, I can't recommend one because I don't know if it's safe or anything, but I have recommended foam helmet is probably safer than headbanging. Plus, I would supervise them with that helmet on. I wouldn't leave them in a room alone because who knows if the chin strap could choke them, or I don't know, I'm a safety net. But yeah, you just got to physically restrain them when they're hurting themselves. When they get violent, you physically restrain them, and a helmet is in that department. So in other words, you're preventing them from the violence, from the aggression, right? Okay. How do you handle 5-year-old lying? Well, I don't care why he says he's lying. That's irrelevant. Okay, 5-year-old lying. Use the behavior board. It's completely free. It's in the link above. And you put down the rule for him is no lying. When you catch him in a lie, there's a consequence. There's no anger. There's no therapy sessions around this. There's no discussing the lying. That's it. Then you're going into the berating, the shaming, the blaming, all that ugly, horrible feeling stuff. Just say you lied. Here's the consequence. Okay, do you want to go to the park? That's how you do it. You deal with bad behavior, then you focus on the good kid. The more emphasis you put on the bad behavior, that becomes their identity. Parents do this all the time. They want to discuss the bad behavior. Have a consequence for it, deal with it, then move on, get over it, okay? The more you focus on it, the more it grows. You're making them feel like crap when you talk about the bad behavior. Just deal with it, discipline it, then move on, let it go. They make mistakes just like you do. Okay. How would you feel if you made a mistake and then someone kept talking about it? Well, you know, when you lost your keys down the elevator shaft, that was pretty stupid. Do you think you're going to do that again? Every time you get in the elevator, don't drop your keys. Don't drop your keys. Okay, that actually hasn't happened to me, but I know a neighbor did. So it's just what came to mind. So remember that time you dropped your keys, don't drop your keys. How would you feel? Wouldn't you want to punch that person who kept doing that? It's like that. Parents do that all the time. You remember, don't do that. Remember last time you did that? Don't do that. See, it's kind of, they want to punch you. And I don't blame them. My daughter refuses to go to bed before 11 p.m. She's turning 4 in September. Well, I don't care when she refuses to go to bed. You get her in bed. Check out my bedtime battles course. You do what's right for her. Don't let her tell you when she's going to bed. She's only 4. My God. When you said before 11, I'm thinking, what is she, 12? Oh, 4. Oh, okay. Yeah. Check out the Bedtime Battles course. That'll teach you how to do this. But if I don't know if she's napping or whatever. I'm not reading the whole question here. But if she is napping, maybe cut down on the naps or cut them out completely. And then, you just get a bedtime routine. And I'm not tired. Well, just lay there in the dark then. Like, don't get pulled into all that stuff. I'm scared. I'm tired. Yeah, whatever. Good night. Take charge. Okay, so Olivia, this is the 2.5-year-old that bites at daycare. And then I said, well, he must not have anyone. If he doesn't do it at home, then no one's bugging him. But he has a 4-year-old an older sibling who's 4. Does he bite the older sibling? And if not, who bothers him? If not, it's probably because the older sibling retaliates harder. Like, what's going on there? I don't get it. It's not adding up for me. It doesn't make any sense. Why are they only acting up at school so they never act out at home ever? The 2.5-year-old. Anyway, work on your leadership skills. It's all part of this. You can't use the behavior board yet on a 2.5-year-old, but if you've got a 4-year-old, use it with the 4-year-old. The 2.5-year-old is watching and learning, and they can start just under 3. It starts at 3, but usually it can sort of start 1 or 2 months before that, but all kids can start on that behavior board at 3. They don't need to know how to read. You can use pictures, and they can learn as they go. They don't have to understand it like right away. That you'll put it up. Okay, do you understand that? Well, they don't have to. They'll learn as you go. But that's like at 3. Okay. And also, someone asked about kids who fight. When you set yourself up as a leader, kids rarely fight. They fight because of injustices. When you're a good leader, there are no injustices in the house. Like if I was looking after kids and one did something to the other, they wouldn't retaliate. They would look at me because they know I'm going to be taking care of that. And I never punish the retaliator. I punish the instigator the first time. And I say to the retaliator, okay, I'm going to give you a free pass this time because they bugged you to do that. You hit them because they were sticking their tongue out at you. But next time you come to me, if you retaliate again, you'll be punished. So will they. So kids learn this stuff. They just do. So yeah, kids fight because they don't feel things are fair. They don't feel things are just. They don't trust you to make sure things are fair and just. Also, you got to teach kids how to play well together. Play with them. Don't do that single one-on-one time stuff. If kids aren't getting along, that's the worst thing you can do, is to single them out and play with them one-on-one or spend time with them one-on-one. Play with them together so they learn how to play together. You're there facilitating it. And don't play anything competitive where there's a winner and a loser. Don't do that. Do silly TikTok dances or stuff like that, or do magic tricks, science experiments, stuff that is just fun and creative, but not competitive. Yeah, kids who have a leader don't fight. Why would they? Because a leader takes care of things. Okay, I gotta move over to Instagram. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. If not, check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I've got my toddler boot camp course coming up next week, so you might want to keep an eye on that. We've been working. My daughter's working with me full time now, so we've got all this time to finish that, and we're just finishing that up now. So it'll be available next week. I can't say what day yet. I know when it's going to be, but anyway. Okay, so thanks so much for joining me, and I'm heading over to Instagram, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. That's where all my lives are saved. Happy parenting. Ah, sugar. Come on, camera. There we go. Okay. Sorry, I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up. Instagram is fast. People turn up right away in one big clump. It's like they all live together and they all turn up together. It's the weirdest thing. Doesn't happen like that anywhere else. So I'm waiting. I usually get 150 right away. Okay. UK. Hi, UK. Okay. No, I don't let people in my lives ever. I did it once 2 years ago. I started doing TikTok lives. And when I first started doing them, I had like 20,000 people in this live, and it was just huge. I didn't know what I was doing, and someone requested to come in on the live. I let them in, and then they started talking about their business. They wanted my audience. They just wanted to sell to my audience. I was horrified. I went up. I said, "What are you doing?" And, "Oh no, I'm just introducing myself." "No, you're not." Click. I couldn't get rid of her fast enough. "Oh, I'm just introducing myself." Yeah, right. I didn't fall off the turnip truck yesterday. Anyway, so yeah, I was horrified by that. I never let anyone in since then. So, and I have to control these lives anyway. So anyway, what was I going to say? Oh yeah. So welcome to my live. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, and you can look into coaching. My daughter's working with me full time now. So we are working hard at a whole bunch of stuff, and our new toddler course is coming out next week. So it's pretty much done. We're just tweaking it and finishing it up. So it's the big boot camp course for toddlers. I said I was never going to do it, but I did it, and it's a whopper. It's a big one. So anyway, that'll be out next week, but we'll let you know. Sign up to the behavior board. That's my newsletter, and you'll get information about when it's coming out. I know it notifies you when you go live. That's why everyone turns up so fast on Instagram, but it does the same everywhere else. But people, peter in, like it's this really weird. Everyone turns up in 10 seconds here on Instagram. Everywhere else, it might be 10 minutes. They slowly come in. So I guess they must feed it out more slowly. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. I shouldn't try and figure it out. It's just certain things annoy me, or because I can't figure them out. It's like, why is there a West Virginia and Virginia? Why is there not a West Virginia and an East Virginia? The state in America? Why would that annoy me? Why does that annoy me? I've looked at it. I can sort of see why, because it's like East Virginia or West Virginia, and then the rest of it's sort of like that. But still, you see, that's just a little insight into my warped personality. But anyway, stuff like that. Just, I need to know. How did you get started with your Bratbusters parenting? I'll make it short. I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11 years old. Always kind of had a knack for getting the best out of kids. I just did. And then I tweaked it, and I volunteered in schools, homes, hospitals, detention centers, everywhere with teenagers. And then I was working with troubled teenagers, and they said, "Lisa, you got to teach this stuff. No one's ever talked to us like you did." And one of them said, "I didn't like myself till I met you." And I thought, I'm really onto something here, but I didn't do it for years and years, because I thought, how do you teach parenting, right? Like, because it's so personal. I just didn't think there was anything to it. And then years later, I eventually started teaching it. But yeah, it's all self-taught, decades and decades of volunteering with children, disabled children, mostly challenging kids behaviorally. And always kind of had a knack with it. So, but then I've honed my skill. Now, you can be good at something, but not good at teaching it. I started my business in 2007. The first year, it was kind of a struggle because I was teaching what I do. I would never use a behavior board. Like, I just wouldn't. I don't want my leadership filtered at all. I want it right, me and the kid. But I thought I was teaching what I did, but it's just too much. It's just too much instantly. So I invented the behavior board a year after I started my business, and I put the parents on it. That's when I was teaching how to give respect to get it. I couldn't quite articulate that without the behavior board. I have not changed that behavior board in 16 years. It's rules and consequences for every member of the family, 3 and up. And it teaches parents how you've got to be accountable, because leaders, I teach leadership parenting. Leaders lead by example, not by lectures, not by you respect me because I'm your parent, that authority dictator stuff. You lead by example. I'm accountable, so you be accountable. It's like that. So yeah, that's how I started it. I have no formal training. I was going to be a child psychologist. They kicked me out. I asked too many questions. What they were teaching was garbage. That was like 40 years ago. I'm sure they've improved it, but it was so patronizing. And I would never speak to a child like that. So yeah, they couldn't get rid of me fast enough. Thank God I never did that. Would not have suited me at all. Okay, anyway, that's how I did it. So yeah, only took me 52 years of training to get where I am. Yeah, took me a while. Also, if you're going to take parenting, I've been doing this for so long now. If you're going to take parenting advice from someone, there is two things I would look out for. If you hate me, move on to someone else, but look for these two criteria. They have to have these two qualifications to really know what they're talking about. Have they finished the job? Have they lived with teenagers? Are their kids adults? Have they finished the job? How can you teach parenting if you haven't even finished the job yet? It doesn't make any sense. How do you know where you're going if you haven't finished the job? Anyway, that's one. And the other one is you have to work with hundreds of other kids, because my kids are pretty easy. I got respect when they were little and sailed right through the teen years. How could I teach anything? How could I teach stuff? So I've worked with hundreds of other kids with all sorts of challenges. Those are two criteria. If you're taking advice from someone without those, it's like taking a financial advice from someone with $10 in the bank. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's heavily experience-based, and you have to have lived with teenagers. You have to finish parenting. You have to have finished the job. You have to have seen it through, because a lot of what works with little ones backfires big time down the road, especially with teenagers. Stuff backfires and they can't figure out why it was working so great before. Yeah, they're teenagers. You just don't know how to deal with them yet. So yeah, teenagers are a different beast. I'm going to read out, well, they're my favorite age, actually. They're not beasts. I shouldn't have said that. Someone's going to, oh, well, you know me, I have no tact. Okay. These are my top 4 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will tune you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Number 2 is you negotiate as much as you can. You say to a teenager, hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper. What do you want from me? Okay, reciprocity. Give respect to get it. Number 3 is don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. They're going to make mistakes just like you did, just like you do. Okay, if they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. Or do you want to hear what I did this morning? And laugh it off. Okay, allow them to make mistakes and be human, just like you were, just like you are. Okay. Number 4 is don't leverage the good times to talk about the bad times. This is really frustrating for me, because I'll work with a parent, with a family, and they've got teenagers, and I'll get their relationship where they're actually enjoying their teenagers. Then I say, do not discuss how they've disappointed you these last 5 years or whatever. Don't even bring it up. You have to let it go. Be forgiving, or at least wait. When they're older, they have their own teenagers. You can sit back and watch the show. That's the payback. But right now, never bring it up. Sure enough, the odd one of my clients will do this. They'll be out somewhere having fun with their teenager at a concert or something. Then they'll be getting close to them. The parent might even have a drink or something, loosen up a little. Oh, I'm just so glad we're having fun because you really put me through hell the last 3 years. They're going to shut you out. They might even say F you and leave. They're going to be so mad at you, and you can't figure out why. You know, don't leverage the good times to talk about the bad times. Let it go. That's just self-serving. It's just going to ruin the relationship again. What's on your behavior chart for adults? Well, it's usually no yelling. If you yell, your rule is no yelling. Or if you don't do anything it's something that would make the kids happy. Like you don't put down lose 5 pounds as your rule. It's something for the kids, something they would like you to start doing or stop doing. Okay. With dads, a really common one is no phone at the dinner table for the dad. And if he does, then he can't speak for the rest of the night, or he has to play games with the kids or something, he has to do something funny or fun that the kids would like. So check it out. It's all on the link above. Okay. Yeah, I don't let people in my lives ever. I only did it once. It was a huge mistake. Yeah, I won't go into it too much, but God, that was a couple of years ago. Okay, I shared some of your advice with my husband, and he said, let's do it. So we're going to do the boot camp first, as you suggested. Excellent. So, just pick a path and go with it. It's like dieting or anything else. Don't pick and choose what you like from different people and try and mix it up and expect it to work. It's ridiculous. It's like looking at a cookbook and picking out different ingredients from different recipes. You got to pick a recipe. You got to pick a diet. You got to pick a parenting method and go with it. It's meant to be used together as a package. Like if you were to throw timeout into my methods, it would tank. I hate timeout. I think it's mean. It's humiliating. Doesn't teach them anything but how to feel bad about themselves. I think it's horrible. So if you were to throw timeout into my method and it wouldn't work, and you go, that dumb Lisa, she doesn't know what she's doing. And you threw timeout into my stuff. So that's why it's not working. I've heard you say siblings fight because they don't think we can solve their problem. Isn't that tattling? How will they learn to solve their own problems? Well, that's the whole, I could go on and on and on about this. Okay. You teach them how to play together. You don't just teach children what not to do. You teach them what to do. So you sit down and play with them. You teach them how to take turns, even use a timer. You get that for 2 minutes, then you take it for 2 minutes. Okay. And then if they come to you and they tattle, If they came to you and tattled, like most kids would just report to me responsibly because I'm a leader. They understand. If you just start tattling for no reason, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to respect you. And I would tell kids that if you just come and tattle about every single little thing, I'm not going to respect you. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to believe you. Okay. Because you're not believable. So they learn this stuff. They just do. But when they come to you and say, and they're really respectful about it, then you go to the other kid and then they kind of, you can just tell who's lying. You just get good at this stuff. So they will start coming to you responsibly. Once you're a leader though, it's not that easy. Like you're talking about they're fighting as if you can learn how to be a leader just by dealing with that. You got to sort of set up the basics of your leadership first. You can't just become a leader through dealing with their fighting. That makes it make more sense to me. Okay, check out the boot camp course. Starts at 3 years old, and it teaches you how to be a leader. Well, it's not when you start at 3 years old, when your kids are 3, but it teaches you leadership skills. So then once you are a leader, they stop fighting. Their attitude also goes away. Those are 2 things that happen organically, generally. When you become a good leader as a parent, the last thing to go is their bad attitude. It happens organically when you exercise leadership. About the second to last thing to go is their fighting. They just stop fighting because they trust they got a leader in the house, right? But you can't learn leadership just by dealing with that one topic. It's a whole package. It's a whole method. So I get what you're saying though. Yeah. But you have to have the basics of leadership before it really works anyway. So, because they start to trust you. You have to put the ages down or else I can't answer the question. Tips for a 5-year-old who doesn't want to listen and talks back. My tip is you fix your parenting. You're trying to fix your kid. It's not about your kid. I don't fix kids. I teach parents. I fix parenting. So you set yourself up as a leader. They don't talk back to a leader. That's a sign that you're not a leader. It's a sign they don't respect you. You got to earn that. You got to work for that respect. Don't expect them just to respect you. Maybe you yell. Maybe you aren't responsible for what you say. Maybe you make mistakes and you're not accountable. Why would they respect you? Maybe you say something and you don't follow through. Yeah, they're talking back because they don't respect you because you're not a leader. Work on your leadership skills and they will respect you. They never talk back to a leader. They would be embarrassed. They would just feel awkward. Help with my 3-year-old dealing with the death of her dad, my husband. Yeah, grief is something I just went through it because I'm actually just finishing up I've got a toddler course coming out next week, a big boot camp for toddlers. We're talking about grief. Grief is not supposed to be easy. I know you want to make it easy for your children, but the thing is you've got to let them see you grieve with them, but grieve whenever they see you grieving, you want it to be with them. How do I explain this? It's okay to grieve with them, but never cry harder or longer than them. Okay. It's okay to be sad around them, but try and cheer them up too. Now, whether or not you're religious, I don't know, but it sometimes helps to say, oh, well, they're watching down on us, but they're still going to miss them. They still want to sit in their lap. They still want to hug them, right? You can't make grieving easy. It's impossible. Grieving is painful. And I lost my dad when I was 14. And I've had miscarriage. I've been through divorce. I've been through awful stuff in life. Nothing ever matched losing a parent when I was a child. He was 10 when I got sick, and he kind of died for me in a way that when I was 10. And, I just never forgot because all I saw was suffering after that. So, but yeah, it's not supposed to be easy. You can't make it easy, but you've got to be there. My mother was very strong, and that helped me a great deal. It really did. And she was a very positive thinker and always looking to the bright side, and that helped. So yeah, grieve with them, show them it's okay to be sad, and don't like validate their sadness. Don't say it's okay, you'll be all right. Don't do that. I think that's unfair. Just say it does hurt. It does hurt. But you can still love them, but yeah, it's not supposed to be easy. I can't make it easier for you. I know what I went through. It was hell, but I survived. It was almost 50 years ago. That was 1975. I remember the time. I remember every detail. But losing a parent when you're young, it makes you a lot stronger because once you've gone through something, it toughens you up. So that's the positive. I'm going through hard stuff. I had friends who went through nothing growing up, and they complained over the dumbest things. like just the dumbest things. And I thought I didn't tend to do that. Yeah, I knew what real trauma was. Okay, tantruming 3-year-old. I've been trying your nail filing routine and it worked at first, but now every time it happens, she sees me paying no mind to her and starts flipping out more. Any suggestions? Did you get the course, the tantrum course? I'm wondering why she's flipping out more. There's something else going on. I don't know what it is. Do you ever look angry? Do you play with her? You got to play with her too, not during the tantrum, but you got to play with her. So sometimes tantrums will go on and get worse if you're never playing with them. You got to fill up their fun cup. Fun, play is their love language. Are you filling up the fun cup, the play cup, the love cup? So that potentially they will keep having tantrums if you're not playing with them ever. That because you're not meeting their needs. You meet their needs and manage their wants. The tantrums are in the wants department. But if you're not meeting their needs, the tantrums goes into the needs department. See where I'm going with that? Did that make any sense at all? I don't know. It did to me. Yeah, I think that kind of made sense. Is it possible to change behavior at ages 6 and 9? My God, they're just tiny. I specialize in teenagers. So yeah, it's never too late to change. Your basic personality is always the same. I believe that. I believe a person's basic personality is always the same. But you can change behavior. Yeah, like I always respected a kid's basic personality, but their behavior and how they treated other people, that's what I worked with. So, but yeah, I specialize in teenagers and we can still change their behavior. A lot of times, and I would say most parents who come to me who have troubled teenagers, the parents are pretty distraught. Yeah, they're pretty upset. And they say, I just don't understand him. Why would he do that? I would never do that. And I say, well, he's not you. You know, a lot of parents are so disappointed in their teenager. They just want to rant on about how awful they are. And I say, yeah, they're not you. And I said, your disappointment that you're showing me and your teenager guaranteed is coming through to that teenager. So we've got to drop that. We've got to change your attitude and fix it up. You've got to be very strong as a parent, and you've got to weather the storms and understand that is your personal challenge. No matter what your kids are doing to you emotionally, like how it's upsetting you, you can't show that because they reflect on that and they take the blame for that. They just do. And they actually get worse as a result of that. They don't get better, they get worse. That's why when I was mentoring troubled teens, I never showed disappointment. It was very rare that I ever would show any disappointment. And even if I did, it was very fast. Because if you do show oh, I just can't believe you did that. I'm so disappointed. They would have said, F you, and taken off. You see? So yeah, be very careful with that. Our home has kids age 5, 11, and 13. Should teens also be on the behavior board? Absolutely. Trying to figure out what to put for their behavior, not the attitude department. Well, it can just be put your dirty clothes in the hamper. It's just teaching them how to do something, how to do a rule, something that, you know, they should be doing anyway. So yeah, they're on the behavior board. But if you've got teenagers, we usually call it family law or the family rules or the rule book or whatever you want to call it, the chart, because you're on there too. So I don't call it a behavior board with teenagers, but a lot of my clients take it to work and use it on their staff. And they usually something like this. If you're late, you have to turn up with coffee for everybody. It's a small office kind of thing. And if you're more than 10 minutes late, you have to turn up with coffee and donuts. So yeah, and they kind of use it with humor. The boss is on there too, of course. And but yeah, it's just an accountability chart. That's all it is. Also, some of my clients use it in the couple realm. I won't go into it, but one couple went into great detail about how they were using it in. The father had no problem telling me every single detail that was on that behavior board. I almost blushed, but I've worked with troubled teens long enough that I didn't. But yeah. So yeah, if you don't do that, this is what you have to do. It was, it was something. Oh, someone said your voice and how you speak is so nice. You know what's funny is I was just flipping through TikTok earlier, and I have a private channel on TikTok also, not just my business one. I hardly ever post on there. That's more for my grandchildren down the road to see what grandma was like. Anyway, and I was talking about my butt having cellulite. Someone used my whole video as a voiceover on their videos. So it was one of those like they're just using my voice and they're Oh, it's funny. Oh, so you got a 4-year-old boy hits his sister when you're out. Do you wait till you're home to do the consequence? Yes, you do, but you point it out. You say, you hit when we get home. We're going to discuss that. Okay, so you do address it, but you don't do the consequence until you get home. So yeah, you hit your sister. We'll discuss that when we get home. What are you going to do? I said we'll discuss it when we get home. But I want to know now. If you keep at me, I'll make it worse. Okay, and then if he keeps at you, just say nothing. So yeah, you address it when you're out, but you don't deal with it until you're home. What do you find parents struggle most to change about themselves when learning to parent? Absolutely, 100% their own emotional pain over how disappointed they are in how their kids are turning out. 100%. The emotions, the 100%, the guilt, the emotions, and I always say it's not serving you at all. Put it aside and you'll start feeling better once we get all this stuff going. Put that and lock it somewhere, put it in a mental safe somewhere, get rid of all your guilt, all your emotions, and just let's follow through. Let's get to work. And then what'll happen is you'll start to feel better about yourself and those emotions will start to melt away. I'm not a therapist. I don't discuss the past. I'm a coach. I discuss the steps to get you where you want to go. Big difference between the two. Therapists are great too. You need that stuff too sometimes, but I don't do that. I say that's the past. We're going to move forward here. But once you get where you want to go, that past kind of loses all of its power. So it's their emotional pain, especially with teenagers, because their teenagers have been quite brutal, said some really horrible things to them, and they just can't quite get past the pain. So that would be probably my biggest challenge. Yep. Sometimes people will hire me 2 or 3 times in a row just to get past that pain. We can't move forward until they can get past that. So I do have to go into some of the past sometimes just to get where we're going. I can tell they're so blocked, they're not going to move forward at all. So, but yeah, I'm not a therapist, but I do have to go through some stuff. But yeah, and I understand, they're so disappointed. They can't hide it. That's not the child I thought I was going to have. And I said, well, you're stuck with them now. So let's make the most of it. Like they go down this guilt trip, this regrets. And some of them have even said to me, if I'd known then what I know now, I never would have had kids. I've had more than lots of parents say that to me. They love their children, but they put them through so much hell and they're just distraught and guilt ridden. And so, yeah, it's not uncommon. I feel bad for them, but I said, okay, I've heard it before. Let's move forward. You've heard this before? Yeah, I have lots of times. So let's move forward. No judgment, no nothing. Come on, let's go. Come on, have a cry. Let's cry. I'll give you a minute. And now let's move forward. Come on, here's what I want you to do. So I have to take control. Coaching is very different from these lives. Coaching is very much, this is what you do. This is what you do. It's very much, I'm taking them through the process. The course is like that too. The boot camp course is like that. I've got a new boot camp course coming up for toddlers. It's not like that. It's completely different. It'll all be explained next week. It's coming up next week. Oh, panicked. I thought I was running late for a second. Oh, you're asking about students? You're a teacher? I don't teach teaching. They're completely different. Huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists. I can't do their job and they struggle with parenting. Completely different roles. Some stuff crosses over, some stuff doesn't. So I don't teach teaching. It would be arrogant of me to think I could because I couldn't teach. Wouldn't know how to do it. So I have a lot of respect for teachers, but I couldn't do it. Okay. This one's kind of tough because I need background, but I'm just going to read it out. Any recommendations for a 4-year-old who struggles when dad is at work? Dad's a firefighter and has gone 24 to 48 hours at a time. 4-year-old has random meltdowns about him being gone. I sometimes set up system because I've worked with families who have, it's usually dads who travel. They might work in the oil fields or a lot of my clients, actually, I went through a whole rodeo of clients once because one hired me and then all their friends did. And they went traveling with rodeos or something. I don't understand rodeo world, but anyway, so they were traveling a lot and we dealt with stuff like that. We did a lot of songs that they recorded with dad or videos that dad would make up and they'd do together. So then they would do that and they felt more connected because they had a lot of videos of dad talking to them in the video and let's do this and let's do that. So he's only 4 years old. Just video them playing or video dad talking to him while he's playing or something. Videos really help. But yeah, it's just tough. You can't always make everything easy for kids. Also, work on your leadership. The stronger you are as a leader, the less likely they are to miss other people. Doesn't mean they love them any less, but you're filling up that cup a little bit more because you play with them a lot. You're a really good leader, and they just feel more complete when you're around. You know what I mean? When I told my 7-year-old to do something or remind him something, he'll say, I know. How do I respond? Okay, why are you reminding him? He's 7 years old. You're reminding him to do something he should have done anyway. Let him not do it and then have a consequence when it's not done. You're micromanaging. You're nagging. Yeah, that's why he's not doing it. He doesn't respect you for that. So I would never do that with a kid. Yeah, I just say, well, the rule is you have to make your bed every morning by 10. I would never remind them. Never. So it's 10:01. Oh, your bed wasn't made. Here's the consequence. But I forgot. Well, you'll know next time, won't you? You see, I give them a responsibility, but if you're micromanaging, then it's not a responsibility. I know what you're going to say. You might ask me a follow-up question, and I know what it's going to be. If you don't ask it, I won't answer it. Someone else might. I'll just wait, because if it doesn't come up, I won't bother. How do we get started early on processing anger? Yourself or your kids? And by the way, you can't process or regulate someone else's emotions. When children have leaders, they tend to calm down. They feel taken care of. They feel safe. So work on your leadership skills, and you tend to calm down, and it calms kids down. Like when I'm disciplining, I get very quiet. My son used to tell other kids, if my mom ever whispers, run. That's when I'm disciplining. It goes something like this. I didn't like that. Here's what we're going to do. That's how I talk when I'm disciplining. It calms them down. Eventually. But if they're not used to you, you have history with these kids, your own kids, it's harder. If I was to come in, they would respect me very fast, but I don't have history. Plus I've got a lot of experience too, but I don't have that history. You have to erase some of the past, right? What's the consequences? Check out the behavior board. It explains how you do that. There's a rule and a consequence. For every crime, there's a punishment. But for the kids, there's 2 consequences. It explains it all. Why not remind them? Because you're micromanaging. You're not giving them any responsibility. He's 7. Why would you remind him? You mean nag him? Remember to do that. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I just wouldn't. Because you're in the nagging department. That's why. And you got to give him some responsibility. What age is appropriate to start timeouts? Never. I hate timeout. Can't stand it. I think it's mean, humiliating, and doesn't teach them anything. So that's my answer. Yeah, I just don't like them. I would never do it. Okay. I'm going to be going over to TikTok soon. I don't want to be late because I'm usually late for TikTok for some reason, because I go from I'm on YouTube the whole time. That's where my lives are saved. Then I go from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. But yeah, and I'm usually late. I don't know why. I'm usually late for TikTok. Not so much Instagram. Weird. How do you respond if they're not listening to what I ask, and then I say consequence, and then media blackout, still not listening? Check out the behavior board. It explains how you do that. Yeah, you got to work on your leadership skills. You might want to check out the boot camp course. Teaches you how to be a leader. You said I downloaded your behavior board for the email, but it was only for toddlers. It's not for toddlers. It starts at the age of 3. A toddler is 1 and 2. The behavior board is 3 years old up to 103. Anyone past the age of 3 can be on it. 1 and 2-year-olds, there is no behavior board, because it's consistent corrective actions in the moment, consistent corrective actions, because they learn through repetition. So I don't know where you're getting that from, but it's not toddlers at all. And next week, my toddler boot camp is coming out next week. My daughter's now working with me full time, and we've been busy. The company almost went under yesterday. We had our first board meeting yesterday. She's a partner. You should have seen us. I said that. No, you didn't. Yeah, I did. I did say, remember? Then we started giggling. The whole company's dissolved in our first board meeting. So We worked it all out. We're best friends. We worked it all out. It was quite funny. Anyway, so yeah, the toddler boot camp is coming up next week. You'll hear more about it. Sign up to my newsletter. It's in the link above, and it's the behavior board. You'll get the behavior board with the newsletter. Sign up for that, and you'll get all the emails explaining what's coming up with the toddler boot camp. It's very different from the other boot camp because the other boot camp is methods, and it takes you through all this stuff. The toddler one is more just, and what if they do this, and what if they do that? Because they're not really, you're not taking them through a process. It's just reacting to things that they're doing in the moment. And they're all so different. They all do such different things. Okay, so I got to move over to TikTok now. Check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. So happy parenting. Bye now. God, there's a lot of buttons to push. It's exhausting. My thumb hurts. Okay. Just waiting for everyone to turn up. Okay, while we're waiting, I'd love to know where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. Beautiful weather right now. It's still kind of weird to me sometimes. I lived in Australia for about 20 years, and it's reversed. The summer is December, January. And here, of course, it's not in Canada. And yeah, I still sometimes think of July and August as winter, but probably feels about the same weather there anyway. New York. Hi, New York. I hope I catch you on this one. Well, here I am. Here you are. Okay. Just waiting for everyone to turn up. I also have a personal TikTok. I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's just old lady stuff. And it's for my future grandkids, really. So, well, I've got a grandchild, but she's a baby now. But anyway, I just do random stuff. So anyway, and I was talking about cellulite, right? It's mostly about fitness on that channel because I love fitness. So anyway, I was talking about cellulite, and someone used my voiceover on one of their videos. Imagine my surprise. I'm going through TikTok and I hear myself talking on this it was a cat video talking about cellulite. I don't think cats have cellulite, but anyway, it was really funny. I was so confused. Is that me? What? Anyway, and I don't know how to figure stuff out, but it turns out it was my voice. It struck me as funny. You had to be there. It was really funny. Okay, so let's get going with this live. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you'll see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, and you can look into coaching. I have a new boot camp course coming out next week. It's for toddlers. My daughter's now working with me full time, and we've got all this stuff lined up. We've been holding off because she had a corporate job before, and now she's left that, and now she's working with me full time. She was working part time before, but now we've got all this time to do whatever we want to do with the company now. So yeah, we're very excited about this. So we'll let you know more about it. Make sure you sign up to the newsletter if you're interested in the toddler course. That will be in the behavior board link. If you go in the link above, you'll see it all. It's the newsletter. And I'll be announcing it. Anyway, so let's get going with your questions, and I'll do the best I can to answer them to the best of my ability. I love your parenting style as a nanny who's worked with quite a few kids. Yeah, I get a lot of nannies, daycare workers, teachers who use my methods, but especially nannies, there's a lot of crossover. Not so much daycare and teaching because you got tons of kids, right? But if you're more one-on-one, a lot of this stuff works with nannies and babysitters too. Not quite to the extent that it does with parents, but because I teach one-on-one personal stuff, I don't teach how to manage groups. And a former teacher, excellent. God, what a tough job. You know how many classrooms I've sat in on, supporting teachers they put me with the difficult kids. And I just thought, wow, I could never teach. I don't know how you do it. It's not the teaching, it's the dealing with the bad behavior. There's so much of it these days. Parents send ill-behaved kids off to school and then get mad that the teachers can't fix them. That's the parents' job, obviously, but these days it doesn't seem to be. The school is expected to do everything these days. I did an article about 10 or 12 years ago. Oh, longer than that, probably 15 years ago. I used to have a column in the paper, like a Dear Abby for parents. And I wrote down, don't expect schools to parent. Because what's happening now is schools used to be just academics, maybe some sport, and keeping kids alive and safe, right? That was about it. Now they have to teach you kids manners, hygiene, everything. Like, it's unbelievable. So if your kids are acting out, a lot of parents will actually blame the school for how their kids are turning out. So what's left for the parents to do? I think it's changing. I think it is, but that's why so many teachers are quitting. They just can't take it anymore, because also they have no power. If you look at their kids wrong, they'll take you to court. So yeah, it's been a rough couple of decades with teachers, and that's why so many have quit. Someone said to me, because I've sat in thousands of hours just sitting, supporting teachers, like in the back of the class, just all volunteer work, just sort of mentoring kids, supporting teachers, like a learning tutor kind of thing. And a lot of people have asked me this: what do you do if you don't like what the teacher does? So if a teacher does something wrong or says something wrong to a kid, I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I could probably commit murder if I was a teacher. Like, I don't believe the restraint that teachers have. Like, oh my God. I just sometimes would look at the teacher, and sometimes they'd say something they shouldn't say, and they'd look over at me, and I'd just be like this. I don't blame you. Oh God, what a tough job. I have a mom confession. I'm ready for school to start back. Remember that commercial years ago when kids were going back to school? What was they're probably still running it. The one where all the parents were all excited, skipping, buying all the school supplies. So yeah, you're not alone. Okay, this is interesting, and not because of not for the reason you think. Need help. 2-year-old throws his cup when he's all done drinking. He knows he's not supposed to. Okay, there's two things here. One is he throws his cup, then don't let him hold it. So when you know he's getting near the end, you hold it. If he doesn't like it, too bad, just take it away. That's it. But the first time he throws it, like, let him try and throw it and then say no and then take it away. You want him to connect the dots while you're taking it. Anyway, here's what you said. He knows he's not supposed to. So toddlers don't do the wrong thing because they don't understand. They do it because they want to. Understanding they shouldn't do something has nothing to do with them not doing it. Does that make sense? Toddlers do not act out because they don't understand they shouldn't. They act out because it's fun, because they want to. That's it. Knowing he's not, you're expecting a 2-year-old to reason and be responsible and thoughtful and kind. Your expectation is out of whack. Okay? It's not a lack of understanding. It's just because he wants to throw it. It's fun. Probably upsets you too. He's feeling the power. I'm going to tell you a funny story. This doesn't make me look good at all. That's why I'm going to tell you, because I love self-deprecating stuff. Anyway, my son was 2 years old. Now, I had a lot of experience with kids. So I kind of thought I knew what I was doing. Everything was coming pretty easy. I was a leader. Anyway, he's out in the backyard and he's in the sandbox. And we had this rock garden, sort of like little pebbles beside the sandbox. And it was like an old fish pond that we filled with sand and had a bridge over it. It was beautiful. So anyway, and I'm in the kitchen, but I'm keeping an eye on him. So I'm in the kitchen and I hear clunk and I look up and I don't see anything. And then I hear clunk again. And then I finally caught him. He was throwing rocks over the fence into the neighbor's yard. But of course, every so often he'd miss and it would hit the fence. So I go storming out there. And I said, no, you don't. And I'm reasoning with them like an idiot, like I forgot everything I knew. You know, you don't throw rocks over the fence. You could hurt someone. Like, anyway, I'll tell you what happens. So anyway, and so I'm reasoning with them, doing everything wrong. And then I said, come on, we're going to go down. We're going to go. And the neighbors were sitting out in their back patio. Now we had a retaining wall. We were higher than them. So it's amazing the rocks didn't actually hit them because they're down this retaining wall and they're sitting out in their patio and they heard all this, right? So we knew they were great and they had older kids. So we walked down and I said, oh, I'm so sorry about that. He's going to pick up all the rocks he threw over. And I said, say you're sorry. You're sorry. He doesn't get any of this. So anyway, and the neighbors are just like, oh, okay. Like they have older kids. They're more experienced. And they're looking at this I thought I was so great by having him apologize and pick up all these rocks and reasoning with them. I'm a moron. So anyway, so we go back up and, I'm proud of myself. And I'm like, oh, business taken care of. So I go back in the house and I say, you don't throw rocks? No, mommy. No, I understand. He understands you don't throw rocks, right? Okay, fine. He does. He understands you don't throw rocks. So I go back in the house And I hear it again. He's doing it again. I'm like, I lost it. I could feel myself. I was upset. Plus I was humiliated because of the neighbors. I thought I was such a, put on quite a good show there. So I go storming out, like I was mad, and I go storming towards him. And then I went, ding dong, he's 2. He wasn't throwing rocks over the fence because he didn't understand. He's just doing it because it was fun. And he couldn't see me, and he thought I couldn't see him. He's thinking, I can't see mom, and throwing rocks over the fence is fun. That's all he was thinking. That's it. That's simple. So anyway, I went back down, took him back down. I just carried him that time. I didn't have him say sorry. Well, of course, the neighbors were trying not to laugh, this dumb new mom. So anyway, and I just picked up the rocks. I said, okay, sorry about that. Not quite the show that it was the first time. So they were just laughing at me. And I was laughing at them laughing at me, but I was also kind of humiliated. So anyway, I go back up, and then I sat him down, and I moved him over to the other side of the bridge where there wasn't as many rocks over there. I played with him for a while. So I showed him what to do instead of throwing rocks. I didn't talk about the rocks again because he already been told. Understanding not to throw rocks over the fence is not what's going to stop him. Okay. I remembered this. So anyway, then I'm showing him how to play. And then I said, okay. Then I said, no more rocks over the fence, and mommy's going to go inside. And I'm watching you. So I go inside, and then every time I'd see him look over at some rocks, I would yell out to him, how is it doing, sweetie? Mommy's watching. And then he would stop. So I eliminated that. I eliminated the fact that mommy can't see him. All of a sudden, I was reminding him that mommy can see him. So he didn't throw rocks over the fence again. But anyway, that was my big mom. I'm sure I've done lots of other mom fails, but that was the first one I remember. But yeah, they're not doing stuff because they don't understand. They're doing it just because they want to. That's it. It's that simple. So it's consistent corrective actions, which is what I did. I moved him over. I showed him how to play. And then I reminded him that I was watching. Okay. Anyway, those neighbors, they were really good. They were good parents too. They had great kids. When do your lives start? Well, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I start at 4:30 on Facebook, 5 o'clock on Instagram, and 5:30 on TikTok. And then I'm on YouTube that whole time. And that's Pacific time, which is California time. Every other day, I never know when I'm going to turn up. I used to do them 7 days a week. I don't have time for that anymore. But it's usually 5 to 6 days a week I'm on here doing lives. But I never know what days except Tuesdays and Thursdays. Those are my only regularly scheduled lives. Can't believe I got that out. Regularly scheduled lives. Okay. Does that make sense, though, with toddlers? It's not a lack of understanding. It's just that they just want to do stuff. It's fun. Right? This is that mini therapy session garbage that I keep talking about. You shouldn't do that. It hurts my feelings. All that garbage, that's ridiculous. They don't need a therapy session. They need consistent corrective actions. They're about words. I mean, they're not about words. They're about actions. Yeah, all these words with toddlers, they're just word salad. They're not listening. How to help a 12-year-old adjust to a newborn and not being the youngest anymore. That's a big age gap, 12. There was about 16 years between my brother and I. Make the 12-year-old the hero. Make the 12-year-old the hero, not the leader, but the hero. Wow, he's going to look up to you. Oh, your baby sister, whatever, is just going to look up to you. Oh, they're just going to love you so much. Make them the hero. It's a whole new role. There was such an age gap between my brother and I. I can remember he drove me to school once, and everyone thought that was my dad. And they thought it was really cool because he had like a Barracuda or Duster. I don't know what kind of car. It was an old car, like a beautiful car, but it was, back in the 60s, right? And so we drove up in this cool car. Oh, your dad's so cool. Oh, that's my brother. My dad drove a station wagon. How young can you start ignoring tantrums? It's about 16 months. I consider a toddler. Oh, shoot. I just remembered something. Just a sec. I consider a toddler about 16 months. Okay. Under that, you use indirect redirection with tantrums. So you do ignore it, but you're using indirect redirection. I know that sounds crazy, but it makes sense to me, and hopefully will to you in a second. So you don't directly look at them, but you want to redirect them. And the way you do that is you get their favorite book and you go sit on the floor away from them and start reading out loud to yourself. Hopefully they'll crawl in your lap. You're giving them another option, but don't look at them. Any attention is tantrum food. This is just something else they can do. If they start hitting you and crawling on you because they're still having a tantrum, you can stand up and read the book and just kind of wander away and let them follow you and grab you in that till they calm down. But you're showing them how calm you are and how soothing. And there's another option to acting like a lunatic. You say calm as anything. You always stay calm. When they go like this, if you get upset too, how are you going to calm down? Right? You let them get upset and you stay calm. You're showing your leadership, you're showing your calm, and you're giving them another option. I always say about 16 months, but it can be 14 months. They might be a toddler. It's 16 months for sure, but it could be a little bit earlier. Okay, parent alienation. That's more in the specialty department. You have to hire me for coaching. I don't know the story. I don't know. And do not tell me your ex is a narcissist. If I hear that one more time, I might scream. I'm 63 years old and I've only ever met one narcissist. That word is so overused. In 63 years, I've only met one narcissist. And I mean, this person was a professional. It wasn't in my personal life, but it was someone I knew. And wow, that was a true narcissist. I've only met one. So yeah, and a lot of parents use that word around their kids to talk about their ex. Big mistake. Lots of people have narcissistic tendencies, though. There's a difference. There's a lot of yeah, narcissists are like, there's always something new out there. That's the latest thing. But what was it? Well, another one was, what was it years and years ago? There's always something going around. All of a sudden, everyone has it. No one had it before, but now everyone's got it. But yeah, it's just such a common word. It's just, it's when you get into name calling with your ex, it's dangerous because your kids are listening. Your kids are a reflection of that ex. So yeah, never badmouth your ex around your kids. This is where I struggle. I can't stay calm for long. Where do I find patience? You got to fake it till you make it. That's up to you. Only you can control yourself. I can't control you. It's like I used to teach fitness, and I remember someone once saying to me, "Yeah, that's all fine and good when I'm at the gym. You know, you inspire me when I'm here, but how do I get here?" And I'm like, "Well, that's not my job. Like, that's your job to get yourself here. Your job is to put your struggles aside and learn how to follow through with this. Do this for your children. I know patience is hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but you just have to put it aside temporarily. And once you start exercising your calm leadership, your patience, or pretending to have it anyway, things start to get easier. But you have to put it aside. That's your challenge. You're an adult. That's your challenge. They're just little children. So that's your challenge. I remember years ago after my daughter, I'd put on a lot of weight and, or I never lost the baby weight. And so I went to Weight Watchers, and I remember this woman said, she goes, "Yeah, I get that the diet works, but how do I not eat? How do I do it?" Or something. She was she was sort of like challenging the woman, like, it's not my fault I eat because I like food. It was just bizarre, like the way she was wording it. And I thought, that's your responsibility to squash your anger and put that aside for your children's sake. That's just your challenge. That is your personal challenge. There's lots of stuff like that in life. There's, all these challenges in life are there to make us better people. And this is one of them. Like, if you want to get fit, you got to turn up to the gym. If you want to lose weight, you got to follow a program. If you want to be a leader as a parent, you got to learn to put your anger aside. It's just certain things you just have to learn how to overcome. There's no secret to that. It's just hard. It's really hard. I remember one of the hardest things I ever had to do was I quit smoking like 40 years ago or whatever. And I warned my coworkers. I said, and I'm not a particularly moody person. I was more when I was younger, not now at all. But anyway, I warned them. I was like in my early 20s or something. And I warned all my coworkers, I'm going to be quitting smoking this week. So I might get moody. And that wasn't my personality really, but I said I might. Turns out I didn't get angry or anything, but turns out I cried a lot. So here's the file you asked for. I cried a lot. Couldn't control myself at all. So they were all laughing at me. They were terrified to ask me for anything because they didn't want the tears to go with it. So can you please bring me that file without the tears on it? So yeah, that was my personal challenge, was to not cry when I was at work all week. But yeah, we all have challenges. And also, one of the reasons why you get so upset is you don't know how to handle it. I'm giving you ideas on how to handle this behavior. You just have to put in the work, put your anger aside for a time, and it will get better. Then you won't need to be angry anymore. How do you keep your no with your 8-year-old? What do you mean? You mean, how do you not give in? I don't know what to tell you. Check out the boot camp course. That might be a good fit for you. It teaches you how to be a leader. You got to mean what you say and say what you mean. You got to follow through, or else they're in control. How do you feel about sarcasm from parent to toddler? Toddlers don't always get that. I'm a pretty sarcastic tease, but my kids, as they got a bit older, they understood that. But I didn't do much when they were toddlers because they don't understand that. But I do remember I was just telling this story earlier to a client, and I was saying I did the monster check in their bedroom when they were scared at night. And I said, and they believed this because I was a leader. So I said, I'm going to do a monster check so you don't have to be scared. When I'm going to look in every drawer and every cupboard. And once I've gone in there, monsters take off and they're afraid of me. They're never coming back. So I think it was my son, my poor son. I opened up and I'm very fussy too. Like I like everything to be perfect and lined up. So I opened up his cupboard and I went, oh my God. And he went, what? And I said, oh, the hanger was backwards. He was about 3 or 4. He laughed. Oh, God. So, yeah, that was sarcasm. He got it. But that was my personality. He was used to that. But, yeah, I wouldn't have done that at 2. What do you think about timeout or calm corner? I can't stand it. I think it's mean, it's humiliating, and it doesn't teach them anything but how to feel like crap all alone in the corner. I think it's horrible. Imagine if you were at work and you made a mistake and your boss said, you go sit in the corner for 20 minutes. How would you feel? It's the same feeling. They just can't articulate it. It's humiliating. It's degrading. It's shaming. But yeah, I don't like it. I teach leadership and respect, and I think that's really disrespectful. So yeah, I can't stand it. And just keep following. You'll see everything else I talk about is everything but that. And this is when people look up. If you're looking for parenting advice, don't mix us all up, all of us parenting people. I don't know who else is out there. I never look at anyone. I'm self-taught. Anyway, like kids taught me all this stuff. Anyway, if you're going to look up someone and you want to learn how to get respect or whatever with your kids, you cannot pick and choose what you like from different parenting experts. You got to pick a path, because if you were to throw time out into my methods, it would tank. And you go, that's stupid. Lisa doesn't know what she's talking about. That's because you threw time out into it. You messed it all up. Okay, it's like dieting. You can't pick and choose what you like from different diets and expect it to work. You can't pick and choose what you like from different recipes and expect it to work. Well, maybe you could. I couldn't. But you know what I mean? It's a path. It's a recipe. It's a program. It's a method you have to follow. So don't throw time out. If you're going to follow anything I teach, you can't throw time out into it, because I think that's the epitome of humiliation. Yeah, you go sit in a corner and feel like crap about yourself. Just keep watching. Everything else I talk about is an alternative. And check out my behavior board. It's completely free. It's in the link above. That's my alternative to timeout. If they're 3 and over, if they're under 3, it's consistent corrective actions. I've got my brand new boot camp coming out. It's a course on toddlers coming out next week. So keep an eye out. Sign up for my behavior board. You're on the newsletter then, and it's going to be announced in there. So my daughter is now, she left her corporate job last week. She's now with me full time, and we are going like stink. We're getting stuff done. And this was something we've been putting off for a while now, just because she was working with me part-time. We didn't have the time to do this. So now things are rolling now. So that's coming out next week. I'm really excited about it. Oops, I got to get going. Thanks so much for watching. Check out the link above. You can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. And I'm off to the races. I got to go do stuff. Well, I'm not going to races, but I'm off somewhere. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and we'll talk again soon. Take care.